The following is a presentation of DangerZone Productions.
Prototype is one of those games that has every aspect that would usually make up a really good game. It's got you running around New York City with superpowers. You get to blow the crap out of tanks and army helicopters alike. And of course, zombies. You know, because nowadays everything has to have zombies. But then you dig a little bit deeper into the game, you uncover all the cool stuff, and that's when you find the layer of that really bogs down this game and turns it into a real ass fest. Like the fact that Alex Mercer is harder to control than a crackhead with ADHD. There's the fact that there's a dozen useless mini-games that don't amount to anything story-wise. And then, of course, there's the fact that everything else in the game looks like it's a knockoff of a really bad horror movie. But the question is Prototype worth playing? Well, I played it through beginning to end, mainly because I didn't want to give up on it, and I wanted to see how it was going to end. And let me tell you something, my friends, nothing about this game is subtle. This game throws subtle out the window a long time ago. Where should I begin?
Okay, before I can start technically about the game, it might help if I actually give you a little insight into what the game's actually about. You play as Alex Mercer, a man who's been infected by the infamous Blacklight virus. It's kinda like the T-virus from Resident Evil, but whereas the T-virus just reanimated the dead, the Blacklight virus takes a few select people and makes them superhuman. Kinda weird like that, but I digress. Pretty much you go through most of the game trying to figure out who created the Blacklight virus, who did this to Alex Mercer, and how to make them pay. As I said at the beginning of the review, you get superpowers in order to do this. The basic travel powers are pretty cool, with the ability to run up buildings, jump down from high places, and even glide for a short time definitely make getting around New York one hell of a lot easier than walking. You can also transform, which gives you the ability to go undercover and undetected for a short time, but of course naturally that doesn't last very long, especially later on in the games when they get those DNA detectors, and don't even get me started on those annoying bitches. But your powers do range from a variety of colorful weaponry. I think the first weapon you get is actually the claws, which hell would put Robert Englund to shame.
Get out of here now, please! Now.
Hey! You forgot the power glove!
You also get the Hammer Fist, which is pretty good for taking out tanks, the Whip Fist for some long-range attacks, which is really fun, the Blade, which is by far the strongest weapon in the world, and the Power Arms, which I think are only good for one single part of the storyline, and after which I really never found another use for afterwards.
And you know, getting back to the superpowers, that's one of the grievances I want to talk about, because the attack powers are okay, but then you look at some of the other powers you have, and I don't see the use for them. Now, there's two defensive powers in the game you get, which is the first one is a big shield. Now, I'm not gonna lie, using the shield when you're running through New York City, fun as hell. It's like running through these with a bulldozer. Doesn't get much more satisfying than that, my friends. And then you've got, later on, you get this armor. I'm trying to think how I can describe the armor. I think the best way I can describe the armor is it kind of makes you look like that bad guy from Power Rangers Dino Thunder. I can't really remember his name, but that was the first thing I thought of when I first saw the armor. And then you've got some of the other powers you've got, which is the more useless powers, like the Power Arms. And I already mentioned the Power Arms really only come in handy once during the campaign mode. Supposedly they're supposed to let you lift stuff that you normally couldn't. I honestly have found no difference in using them, which is probably the reason I never used them for anything other than that one campaign part. I mean, if they wanted to make it interesting and maybe have it to where the power arms were worth a crap, why not have it to where the power arms could let you punch through walls or hell, lift a tank? And yeah, I know the sledgehammer fist is mostly what you use to take care of the tanks, that and the blade, but still, I'm just throwing those ideas out there. Another useless power that this game has is the frickin' viral vision. My god, the viral vision. Once again, like the power arms, only comes in handy once. Only once. And that is when you're trying to use it to detect people who are infected throughout the city. Who gives a shit? I mean, finding out who's infected and who's not infected isn't gonna do you any favors in the long run. And half the time you're gonna find yourself running through the city anyway and just killing these people, so why do you give a shit if they're infected or not? God. I mean, if you want to make the viral vision thing useful, why not have it to where, I'm trying to think of a best case scenario. Like maybe, infected people, I don't know, give you a bonus if you absorb them. Or maybe you're trying to cure them and you're trying to find the people who are infected. That would be another reason to have the viral vision. It's just like that makes you sit there while you're playing this game and say, did anyone test play this? Do they really think this was going to be a good idea? Because it's not. And you know, now that I think about it, the power arms remind me of something else. Something a bit nostalgic. Something wrestling oriented. Where have I seen those before?
Big Papa Pump is your hookup! Holler if you hear me!
Just what we need. Another genetic freak.
Ugh, the mini-games. The freaking annoying mini-games. You know, because every game has to have them, whether they're relevant to the plot or not. These mini-games are no different. They don't add a single thing to the storyline whatsoever. Their only purpose for being is to allow you an opportunity to gain some extra experience points. Yes, this game has a certain RPG element to it. You gain experience points so you can unlock more of Alex's abilities. Or you can just go around killing things, that way at least you're having fun. These games tend to range, however, from simple relay races to assaults against either the infected or the soldiers, to even doing these little bullseye jumping puzzles, which, trust me, is a lot harder than it sounds. The boss fights in this game are another thing that really taters my ass. One of the most annoying ones that I found thus far is Elizabeth Green. The final fight you do with her is by far one of the most annoying, mainly because the game never telegraphs any way on how to beat her. You're just expected to know. At least it didn't telegraph anything that I heard. This fight literally took me an hour and a half to win, just because I didn't know what I was supposed to be targeting. I tried hitting the big goiter thing, didn't do anything. I tried throwing cars at it, tried attacking her with helicopters, tried using normal weapons. Occasionally a life bar would go down, but I swear to God I had no idea what I did or if I needed to do it again. God. Well, it turns out the way you beat her is you have to slice up these little dangly penis things that apparently make her weak enough to where you can come in and wail on her for a while. And after that, you kick her ass and steal her memories. You know, you do that whole little absorption thing. Which is weird because I was thinking at the time that Elizabeth Green was going to be like the main antagonist of the game. But it turns out, no, she's not. She was just a little way to get you sidetracked from the real root of the problem.
And what is that problem, you may be asking? Well, it's a very simple one, really. There's too much going on the screen!
Now, some people may say that they like having a lot of action on the screen, and yes, that's true, that is a good thing to have. But sometimes, well, let's just say the old expression of too much of a good thing is a bad thing really comes into play with this game. I mean, just look at all this shit that's going on. You got the boss trying to kick your ass, the infected trying to kick your ass, and the military trying to kick your ass. Nobody in this game is doing Alex Mercer any favors, and they want him dead. Dead, stinking, and gone. And this isn't the only level where this kind of shit happens. There's another level where you actually have to confiscate a tank without your superpowers, and unless you play that baby real close to home, it gets out of control and completely insane very quickly. Another thing that I noticed about this game that is kind of a tooth grinder is the fact that after you start playing it for a few hours, you start to notice that, well, a lot of the landmarks start to run together. I mean, there's really nothing discernible about the city. The buildings look the same, and really, you could probably see yourself killing the same person a couple of times. There's just really not that much going on in this city.
But you know, taking Prototype for what it is, and not what it isn't, it is probably one of the best superhero-ish games out on the market. I mean, you get to run around New York City with superpowers, hacking and slashing zombies to death, in a city overrun by a killer virus that turns them into monsters. Oh, shut the fuck up. And best of all, you got a kick-ass character like Alex Mercer at your fingertips. Sure, the gameplay is flawed, but hey, what gameplay isn't flawed? The difficulty is crazy, and to be honest, I was playing my game. I started out on normal mode and ended up switching to easy. I didn't really see much of a difficulty difference, but that's just me. Bottom line is, if you see a copy of Prototype, it's worth a try. But believe me, when you finally beat it, you'll be thanking God that you don't have to put up with any more games called Prototype.